I am the CEO and founder of a company called True Life Coaching. We have been in Seattle for the last 14 years, and we also have an office in Reno, Nevada for the last 7 years. And we have always been around helping people, mainly leaders, find their purpose in life, find what they're good at, lead good teams. Because it's just not enough to be fulfilled in ourselves. We've got to be a giving to other people, and that is what today is about. It's about becoming all you can be, right? Be the best you can be today. That's my little slogan. Come on, say it with me. Ready? Be the best you can be today, and also about how we use our gifts to give to other people. And so we're excited you are here. Our theme is fearless. I always ask my little nieces, they're 7 and 4, I go, what are the Slaten girls? The little one with the list goes, fearless. I'm like, that's right, all right? So today, I want you to embrace fearless, and I'm going to share my heart around that in just a moment, but let's take care of some housekeeping first. Number one, we are here not to give to you. Well, we are here to do that. We are here to facilitate you giving to each other. We are here to give you ideas. LEXI, it stands for Leaders Engage to Exchange Ideas. And what that means is each one of you is a leader in this room, because a leader is someone that has a sphere of influence. And whether that is your best friend, whether that is your family, whether that is your children, or whether that is an organization of thousands of people, that's what we have in the room today. People who have done all of that and more. And so you are a leader, and it is our desire is that you would exchange the ideas of what you are passionate about, your superpower, if you will, with each other. And so that's my desire for you today, is that you walk out with just standing a little taller, feeling a little bit more confident, and that you have a purpose in this life, and that you are one step closer to achieving it. And so am I able to do that for you? No. Who's responsible for doing that? What? That's right. I am. You are. And so you are going to be equipped, but I'm just encouraging you, step in to that greatness of what you have. So it's interesting because when I am thinking about LEXI in my spare time, this is what I do in my spare time, I was thinking about what I really wanted for you women. I was thinking about, like, what am I going through right now? What might you be going through? And it was funny because I actually gave up worry for Lent. Anyone give up sugar for Lent? I thought, I'm giving up worry. And I'll tell you what, I never realized how much I worry. I worry all the time. And I thought I was fairly fearless, okay? So I was like, oh my goodness. Like, I worry by doing things. Like, I sit there and go, oh man, what about, and I'm like, well, I'll get up and do something. I'll email someone, right? And then I'm thinking, and when I'm doing dishes, I realized, you know what? I worry by planning. I'm always planning. And somehow I call it planning. It is old-fashioned worry, right? Because I'm just freaked out. So I feel that I need to control it. Am I alone in this? All right, I got a bunch of control freaks here. Oh, thank goodness. Okay. So when I say the word fearless, when I encourage you to be fearless, I am talking about having fear, facing it, saying, you cannot stop me, and going through. There's a book called The Dream Giver by Bruce Wilkinson. And he talks about this, it's a metaphor, and about this ordinary, his name's Ordinary, who goes to pursue his dream. And Ordinary gets stuck over and over again of going back to his ordinary life because he hits something called the wall of fear. And every time he get to the wall of fear, guess what he do? He turn around, right? There was almost a rut in his wall of fear journey. So finally, the dream giver tells him, you know what? You got to bust through the wall of fear. Just take a step through it. It's imaginary. And you know what? He does. He takes that step and he goes through that wall of fear, and then he's on his way to his dream. And so when I'm talking about being fearless, I'm not saying you're not going to feel it a little bit. I'm saying you bust through it. I'm saying you have the courage and the personal bravery to go, you know what? I see that, and we move through it. And so as I was thinking about why is fearless important to me, right? Except us Slaten girls are fearless, right? Is I thought about the fact that it's really courage. And when I think of courage, the word that really resonates with me is this word called valor. And when I say the word valor, don't you just kind of go, yes, I want to be a woman of valor? Doesn't that kind of sound, and the other like going, yes, it sounds good. I have no idea what that means. All right, so one of the two, we're all at in this situation. So when I'm talking about valor, I started thinking like, okay, that's such a wonderful word. So I put a few more words in front of it, and the first word I came up with, quest. Now, I love adventure. And anyone who follows me on social media, you will see that I love adventure trips, I love adventure books, I love adventure movies, and it's one of my 5 core values. I love adventure. Today's an adventure. Who knows how this thing's gonna go down, right? It's just kind of fun. We'll see what happens. And I love adventure. And so as I thought of the word quest, and I looked it up, I'm like, medieval, romance was that first thing. I'm like, oh yeah, that's good. And it says an adventurous expedition undertaken by a knight to secure or achieve something great. And I thought, yes, that's what I'm talking about, right? So when I invite you on a quest, it's about going after something that's really super important. Any Monty Python fans here from the 80s? Yeah, okay, good. I got some friends. Otherwise, like, what? You weren't born yet. It's okay. And it's a great little thing called the Quest for the Holy Grail. Okay, it's not going to be like that, but what we were on today is a quest for your purpose. A quest for why are you here on earth? What are you here to use that superpower for? And so the quest for valor. Now, let me tell you, if I were you, I would memorize this definition of valor. And I want you to watch your body as I read it to you, okay? Don't read it. Let me read it to you first, all right? The strength of mind or spirit that enables a woman to encounter danger with firmness, personal bravery. Yeah. Now, aren't you sitting up straighter? Come on. Doesn't that make you just sit up straight and go, bring it on, all right? And when I looked it up in my iPhone dictionary, which is my favorite thing in the whole world, it said, this is all it said, the quality of a hero or heroine. And I went, that's what I'm talking about, right? So today, I desire for you to be a woman of valor. And some of you haven't been behaving as women of valor, yet you are that. But you've been behaving like a woman trapped by a bunch of medieval bad guys by fear. And when I thought about the word danger, I thought, okay, as American women, like, what do we fear? Now, we've got some legitimate fears, but I'm talking about what do we need to have this personal strength, this strength of mind and spirit around? And as I contemplated it, I thought, the thing about danger isn't so relevant, but the fact that fear is a distressing feeling that is aroused by impending danger, right? Here's the key, whether the threat is real or perceived, how often is it imagined, ladies? Often, right? So then I'm thinking, okay, now we're talking. So when we're going to be on a quest for valor, we are going to be on a quest to go against and have personal bravery and have firmness of our soul, right? Of our being, of our spirit, of our mind, of our head self-talk around fear. Are we in? Everyone in with me? All right. All right. Here is why I want us to conquer fear. Fear steals our joy. It kills our dreams. And it robs us of our purpose. And it destroys our creativity. Have you ever been fearful and creative at the same time? It's impossible. Have you ever been joyful and fearful at the same time? They don't coexist. You have to fight them because they do not coexist. And so here's the research that backs up and gives us some strength for you low-I people who like facts. This has all been fun and games, but come on. There really are fearful things out there, right? I agree. But it's interesting because in the 1990s, Dr. Adrian Matthews and Gerald Wells found that 85% of what we worry about never actually happens. Okay, this is what really could be as convicting and humbling. Come on with me because this is crazy. Of the remaining 15%, we effectively handle 79%. So basically, for a lousy 3% of probability, we let worry rob our joy, steal our creativity, and compromise our purpose. Is that crazy? It's crazy. So when I say we're going to be fearless, it is not an absence of fear, it's being brave in spite of it. It is about going through it. So when I say, I want you to take a risk today, I want you to be fearless, I'm not sitting there being an idiot, going, fear is a part of life. And I'm going to look back at you and go, and it's only 3% of it. All right? So we want to embrace that 97% of it today. All right, so when we are looking at fear, I often ask people, like, what are you fearful of, right? And I hear fear of rejection. How many suffer with fear of rejection? Yeah, 100% in the room. Fear of being out of control. Fear of a loss of security, that somehow you will not be secure. You're always worrying about that. How about a fear of making a mistake? Being a failure? Yeah. How about the fear that you're too much for people? Your personality is too much. How about you're not enough? You'll never measure up, right? We all have these fears that go on. How about you walked in here and you go, I don't know anyone. And why? Well, why are you fearful around that? Well, what if I don't fit in? Well, what if I'm not enough? And all these things. And this is what I really find about fear, is that it's actually at the root of it, it's a fear of unworthiness. It's a fear of insignificance. It's this fear that if I don't be awesome in this one thing, what will I be worth? And it's deep, and I don't expect you going to probably go home and process this, okay? And I want to tell you that we listen to a lot of lies in our head, as we look at the media, as we listen to other people's lies against us. And when I say lie, I just mean it's not the truth, okay? When I use the word lie, it means that's not true. And when we listen to that and we let it become part of our thinking process, if you are an alumni, you have heard me talk about how we have the story, right? We have this story, and it's our brain. And everything that happens to us goes through this story of ours. And we've got to be courageous. We have to have personal bravery around changing that story. And so what that needs to be is that how do we get our worth? Okay, well, the answer to our worth, right, is that you have a purpose. And we were all put here on earth to do something amazing. And you all feel it, right? Does everyone feel that desire to be that person, a woman of valor, to pursue something meaningful in life? We all have it. Now, some of us have let it die. Some of us have killed that dream, that purpose, thinking, I am just going to change diapers for the rest of my life. That is what I'm here, or I'm just going to be a slave to whatever it is. And I'm telling you, that is not true, that you can find it wherever you are, wherever you have. And so your worth is because you were created for this specific purpose, and that it's always about, your purpose is always about serving and helping other people. Now, this is where we have a little generational breakdown. This is what I found. It's not all true for everyone. Is that the generation, I think I'm in the middle somewhere. We all probably think we're in the middle. The one on the people that went before me, they served and served and served, and they never really took care of themselves. They were all just always giving, and then they became bitter and angry and martyrs and codependent and all of that. Okay, and they overworked trying to prove themselves. They overdid their life trying to prove their worth of helping other people. Then we have this generation that's coming up, and they go, well, I don't want that, so I better make sure that I do what's good for me. And they start living a life that for a fulfillment. Like, how do I fulfill, and and which is true. Like, where do I find my gifting? But they miss the step that we live this life of fulfillment by helping other people. And when we do one without the other, we will never be truly on track where we're supposed to be. Because your purpose and what brings joy is about knowing what you're specifically good at on one side and knowing your values and living in between those two things and never getting outside of them. Now, I am a person who my purpose is to help other people find their purpose. So obviously I'm very passionate about this. I know my purpose. I am sure in it. I am a woman of valor, and I fall off of those guardrails a lot. And recently I had a big aha of how I did that, right? And what happened for me is that my purpose is to help other people find their purpose, to find their greatness, to help them. And I am alive. I mean, I feel alive when I know that I have helped someone get closer to their purpose that day. And sometimes that's just helping an old lady across the street, which is now becoming me more and more, that I need the help. And so it's really about that. And I realized, like, every time I do that, every time I'm helpful, I just come home and I'm excited. Like, it was just such a great day, right? And so we all have something different. But what I realized is that anytime that we have insight into our purpose, that there's always the temptation to overdo it. Because all of a sudden, I'm like, wow, people are really getting a lot out of me being helpful. I think I'll do more and more and more. And so pretty soon, and here's the slippery slope, ladies, I start forgetting that my worth is in fulfilling my purpose. And I get my eyes on my worth is that I'm helpful. See that little distinction? So when it goes too far over and it's overextended, then I have to be helpful to be of worth. I have to be nice. Maybe you were put on earth to be nice to people. I didn't get that, Gene, but maybe you did. So, I mean, really, there's some people that are just really seriously nice, and they bless my heart. And just by them, I'm serious, just by them going around being nice, it's really beautiful to me. Okay, I'm going to take this off, because this is causing issues, isn't it? Y'all are like, yeah, good job, figured it out. Okay, so when we are there where we're going, we're helping other people to find their purpose, and we overdo it a little bit, okay? That is where we go into our fear zone. We're in our fear zone when we have overstepped our purpose and started to do it for us instead of for other people, okay? So for me, here's what it looks like. I need you then to help me back. I need to know that it was worth it, right? So I have this one experience. I'm gonna even tell you two embarrassing things. One, I was moving, and I needed help. Like, I genuinely needed help. And so I asked a few friends, and they were busy. So how do I feel when I ask someone for help and they are busy? Rejected, okay, which is my worst fear. Okay, so then I'm like, whoa, like, are you kidding me? Like, these are the people that I can ask for help? And they said no. So now what am I gonna do? Because I need help. But I'm like, well, can I endure any more rejection? Oh my gosh, what would that say about me? So I go, no, Shandel, you got to practice what you preach, and you need to be vulnerable, okay? So I'm vulnerable, and I go on Facebook, because Facebook is the place to be vulnerable. And I went there, and I said, as plain as day, I need help moving. And to me, those were the scariest words I ever wrote on the piece of paper on Facebook, because I was saying what? I'm not perfect. I need help, okay? So I put that out there. Could you please help me? Here's my thing. And I'm thinking, well, the world is going to come to an end because I have helped so many people. They are going to be they're going to be knocking on my door saying, I'll help you. Because you spent 20 hours when I was going through a divorce coaching me. The least I can do is spend 20 minutes helping you move. Okay, there you go. See my story going on here? And I know that was 10 years ago, but you should remember. I remember. Okay? So I'm sitting there, and guess what? All my friends start telling me, oh, I'm so sorry. I wish I could help you, but I'm doing this. Hey, I'm going to be down there. Maybe after dinner I can be helpful. Okay, I'm just letting you know. No one helped me move. Okay, so here's my story. I'm pretty sure 1,000 people would come to my funeral, and not one person would help me move. Okay, don't you think that's a little odd? And so, of course, how do you think I felt moving every box out of my car, onto the street, into the other thing? How do you think I felt? Sad. How else? Alone, bitter. Oh yeah, rejected. And at the core of it, I'm like, I'm not worth helping. I'm not worth you giving up your dinner plans. I'm not worth you stopping what you're doing and helping me. And I just kept that story going over and over and over. right? Ends up, there was one person who was going to help, and he was on his bike and got ran over by a car. I said, see, that's how my life is. The one person's going to help me I'm serious, and I'm serious. Like, that's exactly what happened. And I was just like, this is my life. Okay, now, can you see the bitter and anger and resentment? Okay, but you know what? I was telling that story to someone else that I was bitter at because they didn't help me. I'm now bitter at everyone at this point. And he said, oh my gosh, Shandel, I feel terrible. He said, I just assumed you have so many people that love you that you had that covered. I'm like, yeah, well, I didn't, okay? I had other friends that say, oh, you know what? I would have been there in a heartbeat. Why didn't you call me? I'm not on Facebook that often, okay? So all of a sudden, what's happening is that had I just been truly vulnerable, I would have picked up the phone and kept calling people and going, and I would have said this, I don't have anyone to help me move, which makes me feel like a loser. That's why I didn't say it. I need your help. Okay, so that's the difference between being transparent and vulnerable. I was not vulnerable, and then what happened is it just perpetuated the lie. And so what happened when we have a fear like that, it continually reinforces itself. So now what I did is I set up, because I was so fearful I would be rejected, I set up the situation that I was absolutely rejected. So that's what happens. If we do not manage our fear and realize that that is not where I get my worth, is if people will actually help me, does not define me. Right? But if not, then we end up living in this. Am I the only one? No. Right? So I put this thing out on email the other day because I also realized I have the same thing. I get very angry. So I thought I'd really evolved, right? It's been a couple years since that moving incident. But then I get really angry when people don't answer my email when I ask them for help, right? So I put this thing on email. I'm like, because I thought I'm going to be vulnerable and I'm going to put my need out here once again. So I said, I have this situation that when I email someone and they don't answer back in 2 or 3 days, it's not like I need it right now. I prefer right now, but 2 or 3 days, I don't know what to do. Like, did it go to spam? Should I write them back? Or are they rejecting me, so I don't want to be rejected again? Like, they meant no, so they said nothing. So if I ask them again, then they feel, do you see what I'm saying? They think that I think that they think that I think that they think, game, and on and on. So I'm asking, how should I look at that? Oh, my goodness. Within an hour, I had to shut the thing down, okay? I had 45 people going, just call him back. I was scolded. I was rebuked. I was told, people are busy, blah, blah, blah. And you know what? It was true. And I realized, okay, I need to change my ways. And that means I don't have to answer other people back either. Perfect. Okay. But this was the situation, is that I was finding my worth. I had defined my worth that if you really cared about me, if I was worth something, you would answer my email. Do you see how ridiculous that is when you say it in front of 100 people? Right? We all have that. And what I want for you today is to realize that is not where your worth comes from. And because you believe these kind of lies, you start creating situations in your life that it happens. You actually create the situation. And the more you keep that lie alive, the more you are going to not have any joy in your life, the more you're going to see yourself as a victim, the more that you are going to cut people off, because I don't talk to those people anymore who don't answer my emails. I'm like, well, fine. If you don't answer me, you're out, okay? So you have to change your story. Now, you all are going to be paranoid. If I email you, you answer me. Actually, I almost want to say don't do that, because I don't want you to reinforce this behavior in me, right? I want to be known that I'm worth. And here's the point. I need to be fearless, and I need to be vulnerable. And vulnerable is not a weakness. It is a strength. It is a strength to ask for help. It is a strength to put it out there. And that's what I want for you women. Are you ready to join me in this journey? Okay. Because you're allowing fear, just like I did, to keep you from fulfilling your purpose. You are allowing fear to kill your joy. You're allowing fear to keep you stuck in your job. You are allowing it to define you, and I'm saying stop. It is time today to leave that behind. It is time today to step into your purpose, to reorient your life around your values, and to get settled into what is great and what you were meant to do. Okay? All right. Thank you. So here is what we are going to do today. The first question, you have to ask yourself, what is my unique ability? And so I'm going to speak on that just a little bit, and women are going to share all day long their vulnerability pieces and what makes them unique and great. Then I need you to think about what need in the world do you need to meet? What need that you believe, if it was met, okay, whatever that need is, that the world would be a better place. And then figure out in your sphere, in your little sphere or in your big sphere, how you can meet that need. So when you find what fulfills me, what brings me joy, what do I love, and then what group needs it? For me, I realize, like, I love to help people find their purpose. Like when people are walking in their strengths and they're living their values and they're dismissing these lies and they're free of conflict, I am alive and well, and my people group is leaders. I want to do that with leaders. That's why I mostly coach CEOs and their teams, because I want their teams to do that, and then it goes down to their families, and I like to reproduce that way. You know what my mom's purpose was? She goes, I want to raise 2 children that will love and fulfill their purpose. 2, right? So her purpose was 2 people. So who's more powerful? My mom, who had her eye on me, 1, or me that has my eye on thousands? Who was more essential in that equation? The mom who raised 1, or me who gets to reach tens of thousands? She was. Or maybe I was, but if she didn't fulfill her purpose, I wouldn't be fulfilling mine. So it doesn't have to be big, it needs to be intentional and focused. The third thing is of that, 1, you got to find out what you're good at. 2, you got to meet that need, but then you got to have something in your soul. You got to have something about, is this what I was made to do? Right? Because it might feel good at the time, but is it your calling? Is it that thing inside of you that ignites your soul? Is it that thing that wakes you up and you go, yes, this is what I was supposed to do? Right? And sometimes you start in small ways and it gets bigger, and sometimes it's just big. Right? And sometimes it just stays small, like my mom. Right? Okay, here is my point. Right now you are at choice. Will you choose to be a woman of valor, or will you stay stuck in your story of fear? That is your choice. And so I want you to do a quick group. We're going to do a group share. Just introduce yourselves. It's going to be very quick. You probably get about 30 seconds each, okay? So it's going to go quickly. So what risk would you take today if you were fearless? Right? What risk would you take? And that, I was talking with someone this morning who was a little nervous about being here. Her risk is, I'm just going to talk to 3 people today, because that is outside my comfort zone. Okay, that's awesome. Another person might declare, I'm going to write a book in the next year. Right? What else? What would you do? And it can be really small. I would call my brother, who I haven't talked with in a year. I would, whatever it is. All right? So introduce yourself. Just say your name and something fun about yourself. Make it quick. And then what risk you would take. All right? So go ahead and meet, and we'll be back here in about 5 minutes.